The person who follows the crowd will usually go no further than the crowd. The person who walks alone is likely to find himself in places no one has ever seen before. Albert Einstein. Now, yes, you did actually click on a video about the entire rise and history of Rockstar Games, but in order to actually show you the journey of this company, I want you to keep that quote in mind. Rockstar Games should not exist. Parents, politicians, and even other game devs tried to stop Rockstar. They said the games were too violent and too controversial. In this video, you'll see how a small company founded by two brothers, time after time again had the balls to do what no one else did. Stand up against the crowd and make the games that they truly wanted to make. This is the unstoppable rise of Rockstar Games.
Now, all the people in here are working on what DMA hopes will be its new blockbuster. It's a game called Grand Theft Auto.
I just think that games like films or literature or any kind of art form reflect the culture that they're made in and made for.
I think what we're most looking forward to creating in a PlayStation 3 game is a truly realised, truly immersive, living, breathing world. This is what we live for.
Any kid of any age can walk into any retailer and buy any game like Grand Theft Auto. Stop selling these adult games to kids.
What people forget, what made Grand Theft Auto 3 the first major breakout hit in the series so memorable wasn't the fact that you could go around clubbing people with baseball bats or shooting them in the back of the head with guns.
Grand Theft Auto 5!
A lot of work went into this thing, as you can probably imagine, and so to get this for Britain, for the team, amazing. Thank you so much.
It's 1997, and Rockstar wasn't even called Rockstar yet. They were just a small team at a big company called BMG Interactive. But they had this crazy idea for a game called Grand Theft Auto. Picture this, you're playing a game where you can steal cars, run over people, and basically do whatever you want. It looked kinda crappy, just a top-down view of a city, but man, this game, it caused a storm. Politicians lost their minds, parents were having a fit, saying, and stop me if you've heard this one before, that the game would turn kids into criminals. But here's the thing, all that controversy, yeah, it just made more people want to play it. Rockstar Games saw what was happening, so they started leaking their own negative press. Yeah, you heard that right, they actually wanted people to get mad about their game. Now let's talk about the guys who made this happen, Sam and Dan Houser. These two brothers were working at BMG Interactive when they got transferred to the video game publishing division. They took this idea for a police chase game and flipped it. Instead of being the cops, you're the criminal this time. And that was a big deal back then. So Grand Theft Auto comes out, and it's not just controversial, it's a hit. We're talking over 1 million copies sold on PlayStation alone. That's huge for 1998. And it's not just because of the controversy, the game was fun. You could do 6 different levels, earning points by doing jobs for the local crime bosses. It was like nothing else out there at the time. Rockstar knew they were onto something big, and they decided to double down. They weren't just making games anymore, they were making statements. They were pushing boundaries. And it worked. Grand Theft Auto put Rockstar, or BMG Interactive at the time, on the map. It showed everyone that they weren't afraid to take risks. They weren't going to make boring, safe games. They were going to make games that got people talking. Games that pushed buttons. It's 1999 now, and Rockstar Games is officially called Rockstar Games. They've separated from the BMG Interactive division and are now their own company. After a massive hit like Grand Theft Auto, Rockstar easily could have just called it a day and packed it in. But these guys weren't about to rest on their laurels. They knew they had to keep pushing, keep experimenting. And that's exactly what they did. In 1999, Rockstar dropped Grand Theft Auto 2, and it sold 1 million copies right out the gate. That's huge, but here's the thing. Rockstar wasn't just all about GTA. They wanted to try their hand at all sorts of games. This is a really interesting time in Rockstar's history to look back on, because you're going to see them putting out all sorts of stuff, like Earthworm Jim 3D and Thrasher Skate and Destroy. Now, these weren't as big as GTA, but they show that Rockstar was willing to try different things. They even made Austin Powers games for the Game Boy Color. Yeah, you heard that right. Yes, Austin Powers. So what's the deal with all of these random games? Well, Rockstar was learning from each one. They were figuring out what worked and what didn't. It's like they were building up their skills. Think of it as a skill tree, getting ready for something big. Take Earthworm Jim 3D, right? It came out in 1999 and it was Rockstar's shot at making a 3D platformer. It didn't exactly set the world on fire, but it taught them a lot about making 3D games. And that knowledge, well, it came in handy later on. Then you have Thrasher Skate and Destroy. This was Rockstar's answer to Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. They wanted to make a more realistic skating game, and it didn't blow up like Tony Hawk, but it showed that Rockstar wasn't afraid to take on the big dogs. But here's where it gets interesting. In 2000, Rockstar released Midnight Club Street Racing. Now we're talking. This game combined racing with an open world. Sound familiar? You know where this is going? Yeah, this game laid the groundwork for future Rockstar hits. They were onto something here. Let's dive into 2001. At this point, 3D games were taking over, but open world games was still a new territory. And Rockstar was about to drop a bombshell that would change gaming. And they released a massive game called Oni. Nope, this is the wrong game, okay? This isn't the big game Rockstar released in 2001, Oni? The weird anime-style action game that had all these crazy martial arts moves? No, so it wasn't Oni. Okay, Max Payne. That one came out in 2001. That's a huge game. You're telling me that wasn't the biggest game Rockstar released in 2001? Okay, so what was it?
The original game was based on watching too many American movies and watching all that overhead helicopter chase footage, which was the only camera we could use due to the limitations on the old hardware. But we always wanted to make an action movie when you actually felt like you were controlling a real character. And that's what we've done this time.
Yes, this little game called Grand Theft Auto 3. Now, this game wasn't just another sequel. It was fully 3D for the first time in GTA history. You play as a character called Claude in Liberty City, a fictional parody version of New York. You can go anywhere and do anything, causing chaos in ways never possible before. Now, the violence in GTA 3 was cranked up to 11. The missions were crazier than ever, and you could even kill anyone you want, women, prostitutes, anything. And people were losing their minds over this game. My country, Australia, straight up banned it. They didn't even have a high enough rating for this content.
July 10th, 2002.
Is the nation's top-selling video game. The object?
Kill as many people as you can, get as many stars as you can.
And millions of kids are mastering it by learning to slaughter bystanders.
It's as close as you can get to killing someone without being arrested or really killing someone.
But all this outrage made the game sell like crazy. Everyone wanted to see what all the fuss was about. Rockstar's strategy worked perfectly, pushing boundaries and smashing through them. What about the numbers, though? GTA 3 became the highest selling game of 2001 with over 14 million copies sold worldwide. Critics were falling over themselves to praise it, giving it 9 out of 10s or higher, calling it innovative and groundbreaking. So why was GTA 3 such a game changer? Well, I think this old news broadcast sums it up best.
What people forget, what made Grand Theft Auto 3 the first major breakout hit in the series so memorable wasn't the fact that you could go around clubbing people with baseball bats or shooting them in the back of the head with guns, but the fact that it was an open, 3D, living, breathing world where you could do whatever you wanted at any time, find your own way to have fun, and that the characters were so deep and so interesting.
This level of player choice was mind-blowing back then. You could hijack any vehicle on the map, from cars to boats to planes. The wanted system added a new layer of challenge with police chases escalating based on your actions, and the radio stations, they added personality and humor to your drives around the city. GTA 3 also brought a new level of storytelling to games. You're Claude, a criminal climbing the ranks of Liberty City's underworld. The city feels alive with pedestrians, traffic, and a day-night cycle that makes the world feel real. But let's talk about the elephant in the room here. GTA 3 came out just 1 month after 9/11. Some people thought it was too soon for a game with so much violence, especially considering it was set in a fictional version of New York. But Rockstar didn't back down. They made some changes to the game, which I've mentioned in this video here, but overall they stuck to their vision. And that vision changed everything. After GTA 3, every developer wanted to make an open world game. It set a new benchmark for what games could be. GTA 3 showed that games could be complex, mature, but still incredibly fun. So where do you go after GTA 3? Rockstar knew they had a hit franchise at this point. Other developers were copying their styles of games, so Rockstar decided to just push the boundaries further and further ahead. In 2002, they take GTA to a fictional version of Miami with GTA Vice City, with the game selling even more copies than GTA 3. This time with yet another fantastic story, an incredible soundtrack, and a protagonist, this time with an actual voice. You play as Tommy Vercetti, a former mobster, in a story that's far deeper than anything GTA experienced before. More action, betrayal, and even heartbreak. In 2003, Rockstar dropped Manhunt. And to say this game was intense would be just the most incredible understatement ever. This game is not for everyone. You're playing as James Earl Cash, a death row inmate forced to star in brutal snuff films. You have to use stealth and makeshift weapons to take down your targets in the most violent ways possible. We're talking graphic, gory stuff that makes GTA look tame. Politicians and activist groups went crazy over Manhunt. Just like with GTA 3 in Australia, this time some places in the UK just straight up outlawed it. In the US, the Parents Television Council called it the most controversial video game ever made. But yet again, Rockstar didn't back down. They said Manhunt was a commentary on violence in the media, meant for mature audiences only. And you know what? It worked. The game sold over 1 million copies in its first month, and yet again, all the controversy just caused people to want to play it more. While Manhunt was the most controversial of Rockstar's titles in 2003, they also had 2 other big hits. Midnight Club 2, a sequel to Midnight Club of course, as well as Max Payne 2, The Fall of Max Payne. At this point, Rockstar had 3 really solid franchises running for them: GTA, Midnight Club, and Max Payne, along with Manhunt potentially being the next big thing as well. Fast forward to 2004, and Rockstar continues to experiment, this time with another brand new franchise called Red Dead Revolver. You play as a bounty hunter named Red Harlow in the American frontier, and despite what you may think of Red Dead nowadays, Red Dead Revolver was not really a massive success for Rockstar. It didn't even sell 1 million copies, and was vastly different to what people were enjoying from Rockstar games at the time. There was no open world, no real emotional storytelling, and a much heavier focus on an arcade-style action game. Many players consider this the golden age of Rockstar, and it's not hard to see why. They were on an absolute roll in this period. Because after Red Dead Revolver, Rockstar released Grand Theft Auto Advance, a spin-off game for the Game Boy Advance. But they followed it up with San Andreas, one of the most beloved games in video game history. With this game, Rockstar took GTA to the hood. You play as CJ, Carl Johnson, a member of the Grove Street Families gang. After leaving San Andreas for Liberty City, CJ comes home after the death of his mother just to find out that a lot has changed. A lot of people don't quite understand just how far this game pushed the industry forward. San Andreas wasn't just set in one city, it was set in 3. Los Santos, a fictional parody of Los Angeles, Las Venturas, or Las Vegas, and San Fierro, or San Francisco. 3 cities in one game on a PlayStation 2? Absolutely unheard of. And yet again, the game pushed almost every boundary conceivable at that point in open world games.
That roughly 42% of the time, any kid of any age can walk into any retailer and buy any game like Grand Theft Auto San Andreas despite the game rating. So we're simply saying stop selling these adult games to kids, and apparently the industry is afraid of what's coming their way because this law was passed unanimously in Louisiana, by the way, by every legislator.
Paul, he brings up some good points. A lot of people wouldn't want these games in the hands of kids. What do you think about these laws?
I don't want them in the hands of kids either, but the laws are totally unconstitutional.
Why?
Because we have a First Amendment that says Congress shall make no law abridging freedom of speech. Last time I checked, entertainment was a form of speech.
Although keeping them out of the hands of minors, we do that with movies, too. You can't get into a rated R movie if you're under 17.
That's wrong also. The fact of the matter is there's not a scintilla of scientific evidence that any movie or video game, however violent, has ever caused any damage in the real world.
Okay,
and there are no shortage of perverts and criminals out there who do real damage, who kidnap, kill people. That's who the legislatures should go after.
At this point, Rockstar knew what to expect. Popular and hated activists like Jack Thompson would be calling for the game to be outlawed. Parents and politicians would be upset saying that kids shouldn't be playing this game. It was all par for the course. That was until a little mod called Hot Coffee appeared which changed the course of Rockstar games forever. San Andreas was breaking all sorts of sales records when a Dutch modder, Patrick Wildenborg, discovered something unexpected in the code. He found a fully developed minigame that let players engage in sexual activities with their in-game girlfriends. Content that Rockstar claimed to have removed before the game released. Wildenborg explained, "I was just exploring the game files when I stumbled upon this hidden feature. It was surprising to see how detailed and complete it was. This discovery sent shockwaves through the industry. Politicians and parent groups were outraged once again, but this time to an entirely new level. Hillary Clinton called for an investigation, stating, 'The disturbing material in Grand Theft Auto and other games like it is stealing the innocence of our children.' The fallout was intense. The ESRB changed San Andreas' rating from mature to adults only, which at the time was essentially a death sentence in video game retail. Major stores like Walmart and Target pulled the game from their shelves, and Rockstar had to recall millions of copies, costing them over $20 million. That's not even counting for lost sales and class action lawsuit settlements. This scandal forced Rockstar to reevaluate their entire development process. Other developers took note too. Epic Games' Tim Sweeney commented, "The incident has made us all more cautious about what we are including in our games, even if it's not meant to be accessed by players." Rockstar eventually released a patched version of San Andreas with the offending content removed, which eventually did restore the game's mature rating. But the controversy had lasting effects on the industry. It sparked debates about violence and sexual content in games, leading to calls for stricter regulations. The incident also highlighted the growing influence of modders and the potential risks they posed to developers. The hot coffee scandal showed that even a company known for pushing boundaries could go too far. It forced Rockstar to be more careful about what they included in their games, even if it was meant to be hidden from normal gameplay. The controversy left a bitter taste in everyone's mouth and showed how thin the line is between controversial and unacceptable content. You'd think Rockstar might chill out after that, right? No. In 2005, they come out swinging with The Warriors. Based on the cult movie about street gangs, it's packed with violence. You're controlling a whole gang fighting your way through New York City, with more focus on hand-to-hand combat and group tactics. The Warriors got hit with the same kind of backlash as Manhunt. People were saying it glorified gang violence and could mess with players' heads. They follow up The Warriors with 2 Grand Theft Auto spin-offs, Liberty City Stories in 2005 for the PlayStation Portable, and Vice City Stories in 2006 for the PSP as well. Both were very well received and loved by fans, and showed that Rockstar could do more than just make games for the PlayStation 2 and Xbox. Okay, so at this point you think Rockstar's all about gangsters and criminals with their games, right? Well, they had another trick up their sleeve.
Here we are, boy. Bullworth Academy. Have fun, Jimmy.
Hopkins, you're quite the nastiest little boy I've ever encountered.
It's 2006, and everyone's waiting for the next GTA. But Rockstar's got something different planned. They announce Bully, a game set in a school, and people lose their minds before it's even out. You might be thinking, a school game, how's that gonna cause any trouble? Well, it caused quite a lot. It's a tradition at this point that politicians and parent groups were freaking out, this time saying that the game would encourage bullying. They wanted it banned before anyone even played it. But here's the thing, you weren't even playing as a bully, you're actually fighting against them. In Bully, you play as Jimmy Hopkins, a kid trying to survive school life, something that we've all been through. You're not beating up kids for lunch money, you're actually standing up to bullies and trying to make the school better. The gameplay includes attending classes, completing missions, and engaging in schoolyard activities. When the game came out, it was pretty tame compared to GTA. No guns, no killing, just some pranks and fistfights, but it still sold like crazy. 1.5 million copies in 2 years. Of course, those aren't GTA numbers, but for a smaller franchise like Bully, this is pretty incredible. Critics loved it, saying it was funny and it had a good story. But Rockstar's reputation meant that everything they did was under a microscope. The game actually sparked a lot of discussion and some arguments. While it didn't face the same level of controversy as a GTA, it still sparked debates about violence in schools. People were asking if playing a game like this makes kids more violent, or if it's even okay to make a game about school life with fighting involved. But what it meant to me, and a lot of people, was that Rockstar showed they weren't afraid to tackle any topic, no matter how sensitive it really was. The message behind Bully was a good one, in my eyes. And Rockstar didn't back down. They believed in what they made and stood their ground, which gained them a lot of respect. It's 2008, and over the past few years, Rockstar has gone about making a lot of money. Throughout the past few years, Rockstar has released titles like Rockstar Games Table Tennis, a sequel to Manhunt with Manhunt 2, but now it was time to take gaming to another level yet again.
With PlayStation 3, we feel very excited and very confident that we're going to be able to absolutely push the limits of what can be created and the experiences that we can immerse our audience in. We really know that we're going to be able to go to the next level in terms of realistic simulations and realistic immersions combined with incredible narrative, incredible storytelling, and those two components combined are what are going to create the experiences of the future.
On April 29, Grand Theft Auto 4 released, generating over $500 million in the first week alone. The game took players back to Liberty City, this time playing as a Serbian character named Niko Bellic. GTA 4 was different to all of the previous GTAs though. This time, Rockstar had created an entirely new GTA universe, the HD universe. The difference is how the game looks. GTA 4 was a massive step up compared to all of the previous GTAs. Where GTA 3, Vice City, and San Andreas were part of the 3D universe and all had that same artistic and aesthetic look, GTA 4 went for a more realistic look, with some of the best graphics the world had ever seen at that point. What that meant was now you could commit any crime you want, kill anyone you want, run over anyone you want, with some of the best graphics ever, and you can only imagine the controversy that stirred up.
I've talked with Devin Moore on death row in the Atmore facility in Alabama, and there's no doubt in my mind, nor was there any doubt in the mind of Ed Bradley on 60 Minutes, who broadcast this story, that but for Devin Moore's training on this cop-killing simulator, he would not have been able to kill 3 cops in Fayette, Alabama, who are now dead and in the ground. We are suing Take-Two, Sony, Walmart, and GameStop for having trained Devin Moore to kill. He had no history of violence, no criminal record.
Okay, a lot of people, Jack, will say that, you know what, okay, so there's one kid that went bad.
Oh, no. There have been dozens. We could fill up the next 30 minutes talking about school shootings linked to Grand Theft Auto Vice City, such as the one in Red Lake, Minnesota.
Funnily enough though, one of the main controversies around GTA 4 wasn't even that. It was the fact that players now had the ability to drink and drive. This led to activist organizations like MADD, M-A-D-D, or Mothers Against Drunk Driving, crying out against the game. Funnily enough, this wasn't even the first time you could drive under the influence in GTA. You could do this all back in Vice City as well. Controversy aside, yet again Grand Theft Auto 4 pushed the limits of what people could expect from video games, and while the game didn't feature 3 different cities like San Andreas did, it pushed the genre forward in other ways. Action, story, world building, and this time, even a multiplayer mode. It was very different to your typical GTA. This time, we had a much darker, more gritty tone. But that slight difference in how the game feels has led to it becoming a lot of players' favorite GTA ever. Alright, so you thought Rockstar was all about causing chaos in modern cities. Well, they're about to show you a whole new side of their game-making skills. It's 2010, and everyone's expecting the next GTA yet again. But Rockstar's got something else up their sleeve.
Product not yet rated.
They announced Red Dead Redemption, a game set in the Wild West. Red Dead Redemption wasn't just another game for Rockstar. It was their most expensive project ever, costing over $100 million to make. The game comes out, and it's not just good, it's a freaking masterpiece. It gets 9 out of 10s or 10 out of 10s across the board. It's a home run, completely. We've covered a lot of controversy in this video, so you might be thinking, okay, but is it violent? Is it controversial still? Well, yeah, it's got its fair share of violence, but here's the thing. It's also beautiful. It's emotional. It's telling you a story unlike you've ever experienced in a Rockstar game before, and it's making you feel something that other games haven't. So let's talk about that story for a second. You play as John Marston, a former outlaw who's trying to turn his life around. This isn't just some trigger-happy cowboy. He's a complex character, dealing with some pretty heavy stuff, and you're gonna find yourself really caring about what happens to him. And the world they built, it's not just some empty playground for you to cause trouble. dabble in, Rockstar created a rich, open world set in the American frontier and Mexico as well. You can ride your horse through dusty trails, hunt wild animals, or just sit back and watch the sunset. It's a whole different vibe from the busy streets of Los Santos or Liberty City. Red Dead Redemption's gameplay is great, but this game is all about the narrative. The game tackles some pretty heavy themes, like greed, brotherhood, and betrayal. It's about what it means to seek redemption in a world that's changing around you, and a world that you might not belong in anymore. Unlike other Western games, and unlike Red Dead Revolver in 2004, Red Dead Redemption doesn't just focus on shootouts and bank robberies. It dives deep into the moral complexities of the Wild West. As one critic put it, Red Dead Redemption isn't just a game, it's an experience that will stay with you long after you've put down the controller. With Red Dead Redemption, people started seeing Rockstar in a whole new light. They weren't just shock merchants anymore, they were artists. But don't worry, they didn't go soft on us. The game still has that classic Rockstar edge, and people loved it. It proved that Rockstar could do more than just GTA. They could create games that people would be talking about for years to come. Rockstar followed up Red Dead Redemption with 2 more critically acclaimed games, with LA Noire and 2012 with Max Payne 3. Both games receiving 9 out of 10s across the board, and while neither sold as well as Red Dead Redemption or a GTA, they still showed that Rockstar can create incredible games without having to rely on their biggest franchise. But that biggest franchise, it was coming back in 2013 in a big way that would forever change the industry as we know it. The way we all experience games today has been completely shaped and transformed by what happened with Grand Theft Auto 5 and Grand Theft Auto Online. So, let's talk about it.
Why did I move here? I guess it was the weather.
Out in 2013, and you've got 3 characters you can switch from this time: Michael, Franklin, and Trevor. Each one's got their own story and skills. The world is massive. You can spend hours just exploring Los Santos without even touching the main story, and the game made over $1 billion in just 3 days. It became one of the most successful entertainment products ever in just its first week. But let's talk about the real game changer here: GTA Online. Rockstar launched it 2 weeks after GTA 5, and it took everything to a completely new level. Now, you're not just causing chaos by yourself, you're doing it with friends and people from all over the world. You want to rob a bank? Get your crew together and plan a heist. Feel like racing? Hit the streets or the sky with other players. Want to run a business? You can do that too. And the best part, Rockstar kept adding more stuff. They're constantly updating the game with new content, like flying cars, love them or hate them, new missions, new ways to make money, and new ways to cause trouble. People are spending real money on fake money in the game through shark cards. Some folks love it, a lot of folks hate it, but it's making Rockstar a ton of cash. It's making so much money to the point that it's accounting for over 60% of their revenue. When GTA Online first launched, it had a lot of bugs and issues, but Rockstar didn't just give it up and drop it. They kept working on it, fixing the problems, adding new content, and that commitment paid off. People stuck around and the player base kept growing. GTA 5 and GTA Online became such a big deal because of the freedom that they offer. In GTA 5, you can switch between characters whenever you want. In Online, you can be whoever you want to be. You can live out your wildest fantasies, whether that's being a criminal mastermind or a successful business owner. Rockstar's not stopping. They state that they're going to keep supporting GTA Online with new content and updates for years to come. They're in it for the long haul. And at this point, they're not just making games anymore. They're running a virtual world, and they're changing the way we think about what a game can be. The success of GTA Online has influenced the gaming industry, showing that a game can have a lifespan of years, not just months. Other companies follow suit and are now trying to create their own persistent online worlds. A lot of people seem to forget that one of the first games to ever do this type of thing was GTA Online, and games that you play today, live service giants like Fortnite, for example, may not even exist without the influence of something like GTA Online. Alright, so Rockstar's on top of the world, right? Well, we're about to dive into the controversy that almost brought them down. Making hit games isn't all fun and games. Let's talk about Red Dead Redemption 2. This game was huge. People were losing their minds over how amazing it looked, how detailed the world was, and how you could do, yet again, pretty much anything. It took almost every theme from Red Dead Redemption 1 and took it to a whole new level. It is, without doubt, one of the best games I have ever played. But all that greatness came at a price. While everyone was praising the game, whispers started going around about crunch culture at Rockstar. We're talking about employees working insane hours to get the game finished. Some people were even claiming that they worked 100-hour weeks. That's like working from Monday morning to Saturday night without sleeping. Rockstar tried to defend themselves, saying the long hours weren't mandatory. But when you're working on a huge project and everyone around you is putting in crazy hours, you're gonna feel the pressure to do the same thing. It's not like you can just clock out at 5 PM when your whole team is still there grinding away. Now let's talk about GTA Online again for a second. You know how it works. You can buy shark cards with real money to get in-game cash, and some people were spending big bucks on these things. This led to some fans saying Rockstar had gotten greedy. Updates for GTA Online started coming out less often, and when they did, a lot of the new stuff seemed designed to make you want to spend more real money instead of playing the game. They completely abandoned Red Dead Online. New vehicles or properties would cost ridiculous amounts of in-game cash, pushing players towards those shark cards. All of this controversy started to change how people saw Rockstar. They used to be the cool rebels of the gaming world, but now people were wondering if they'd lost their way. Had they just turned into another big corporation trying to squeeze out every last dollar of their fans? The company that once pushed boundaries with innovative gameplay and storytelling now seemed more focused on pushing microtransactions. It's like watching your favorite band sell out. You still love their old stuff, but you're not really sure you recognize them anymore. Alright, so it's 2025, Rockstar has released one game in the last 10 years, and the gaming world is going crazy. Rockstar's about to drop GTA 6, and everyone's losing their minds. The gaming landscape has changed a lot since GTA 5 came out. We've seen that huge shift towards online multiplayer and live service games, so now Rockstar's got this big challenge. How do they make a game that's still edgy and controversial, but fits into this new world? We've got some info on what's coming with GTA 6. Rockstar's announced a new protagonist named Lucia, along with Jason, and that's a pretty big deal because it's the first time since GTA 2 that we've had a female lead in a main GTA game. It shows that, yet again, they're trying to change things up, and maybe even address some of the criticism they've gotten in the past about how they portray women. But here's the thing. Can Rockstar still be the rebels when everyone's expecting them to push the envelope? People are way more aware of things like violence and representation in games now. So they've got to balance their trademark satire with the heightened social awareness of today's gamers. We've got to talk about microtransactions too. Rockstar's been making bank with those shark cards for a while now, so will they focus on making a great single-player game, or are they going to try and squeeze every last dollar out of us again with the online stuff? What about the inside of the studio? Rockstar's been working on making their workplace better, trying to be more progressive and compassionate. That's good news for the developers, but it might also change how they make games. Will they still be able to create those controversial, boundary-pushing stories if they're trying to be more careful? The pressure on Rockstar is insane. I don't envy them at all. Everyone's watching to see if they can pull off another game-changing release like they did with GTA 3, GTA 5, Red Dead 2, but the expectations are through the roof. How do you surprise people when they're expecting you to surprise them? Whatever happens, GTA 6 is going to be massive. We're talking about a huge open world with tons of details. They're likely going to tackle some current issues, maybe even poke fun at social media or cryptocurrency, but they've got to be careful. One wrong move and they could face a bigger backlash than anything they've seen before. So what's next for Rockstar? Well, we'll soon find out. For me personally, I hope they continue to be the company they've always been, and I expect that whatever they do, it'll get people talking. Thank you for watching.